Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Marlboro County Board of Education regular scheduled meeting, March 2nd, 2026. At this time, we're going to have our invocation by Mr. Toms. Please give us invocation.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to come together. We ask now that you be with us as we conduct the business of the Marlboro County Board of Education. Guide our thoughts and let our decisions be to uplift this county and be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Need a motion to call to order?
Application on meeting.
Yeah. That's after call to order.
Mr. Chair, I move we call the meeting to order.
Have a motion to call the meeting to order. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Marlboro County Board of Education meeting is now called to order. Okay, there's been notification of the news media. Welcome and thank you for coming out tonight. Now I need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Motion to approve the agenda that's printed. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Marlboro County Board of Education agenda has been approved. Points of celebration, District Character Education Student of the Month Award.
Good evening, Dr. Thorsland, Mr. Coachman, and board members and guests. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce the Elementary District Student of the Month, a Character Education Student of the Month for the month of January, and that character trait was kindness. I'm proud to announce that it is a Clio Cavalier, Miss Ava Poe, who's a third grader at our school, and this is what her teacher has to say about her. What does kindness look like? It looks like a smile that brightens someone's day, a helping hand offered without being asked, words spoken with care, and a willingness to be a friend to everyone. When I think of kindness, I could not help but think of Ava Poe. Ava is one of the kindest students I have had the pleasure of teaching. She consistently shares kindness with everyone she meets and amazes me daily with her thoughtful acts towards both teachers and peers. Whether she is helping a classmate with an assignment, reading with her partner, offering a sincere compliment, or simply sharing a warm smile, Ava demonstrates kindness in every part of her day. Each morning, I can count on her to walk into the classroom with a bright smile and ask, "How are you doing today?" What makes Ava especially remarkable is that she does not perform kind acts for recognition. I have witnessed her kindness when she believed no one else was watching. For example, Ava is an excellent reader, and when she sees one of her classmates needing help in reading, she jumps in to help them. I have witnessed her walking over to check on a classmate to see if they need her to read the text to them. She doesn't judge or pick, she just shows patience and kindness. This is just one of many examples of her compassionate nature. Ava is always willing to help wherever she is needed, and she does so without complaint. No matter what is asked of her, she gives her best effort and completes each task with a beautiful smile. She understands that one act of kindness can make a difference, and she chooses to make that difference every single day. There is a saying, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. Ava truly embodies these words. Her heart for others is evident in all that she does. Princess Diana once said, "Carry out a random act of kindness with no expectation of reward, safe in the knowledge that one day someone may do the same for you. If the world needs anything, it is more people like Ava." I am honored to nominate such a deserving young lady. Ava Poe is truly worthy of the Kindness Character Award. Would y'all please help me welcome Ms. Ava Poe?
The other family members?
Oh, she won't come.
Good evening, Chairman Coachman, board members, and Dr. Thorsland. I stand here today honored to present to you the Secondary Education Student of the Month from McCall Elementary Middle School. It is an 8th grade student who represents us. Her name is Paris Jones, and this is what her teachers had to say about her. Kindness is a character trait that means the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate, and the 8th grade teachers at MIMS had no trouble deciding which student embodies kindness every single day. Paris Jones. One way Paris displays kindness is through her genuine connections with people. She connects with her teachers as well as her classmates by finding common interests and actively taking part in their conversations. She cares about what each other person says and embodies those things. Paris is always ready to help, picking up things that someone else has dropped, or lending a hand in the classwork, or being considerate of others' feelings. If someone is having a difficult day, Paris is there to be supportive. Her teachers definitely appreciate that she never takes part in any disruptive behavior and treats teachers and classmates with respect. Also, whether Paris is working with others or just having a friendly conversation, she actively listens to everyone and feels so that everyone feels heard and valued. Paris encourages others and has the most positive attitude, even if something's not really going her way or she doesn't seem to like it. Paris also, in always, has a ready smile and makes our classroom and communities shine brighter with her positive attitude and her kindness. The 8th grade team at MIMS are proud to nominate Ms. Paris Jones as our choice for February Student Character Education of the Month for kindness. Please help me celebrate Ms. Paris Jones. And she's not with us this afternoon.
That it for the student of the month?
She wasn't here, yes. So
Okay, congratulations to both student of the month. Let's give them a big hand again. Now moving on to the Marble County Boys and Girls Wrestling Team.
Good afternoon, Chairman, trustees, and Dr. Thorsland. It is our honor tonight to recognize our girls and boys wrestling team, and I'm going to invite Coach McMillan up forward, and he will discuss some of their highlights before he presents our girls and boys wrestling team.
Good evening. If I could get the boys wrestling team to come on up. Come on, guys. Come over here to the right. These gentlemen, they're not all here, by the way. This is quite a large group. We have 21 members coming back next year. We're losing 6. Some of these boys wrestled and practiced every day all year, and they never wrestled a match because of, weight limitations. But like Trent Bright, he wrestled in practice every day, was always at practice, but he couldn't meet the bottom minimum weight. So he just practiced, and he lost a lot of weight by practicing and enjoyed being around the other guys. Our boys team finished third in the region, and in the region we're in, that's pretty daggone good. They ended up beating Loris, and we finished 7-8. We went to the second round of the state dual team playoffs. Guys, if y'all go ahead and walk over to the marquee side. Got one more coming. I know for sure. I'm graduating three guys who wrestled every match, Caleb Garvin, Troy Haley, and Aaron Chavis. Trent Bright, Rehemiah Fields, and Jaden Demery are also wrestlers. Some of these guys were at soccer practice and track and field practice. So I told them if they can make it to come. We got 10 juniors coming back. Of those 10 juniors, there were 6 state qualifiers. And then we have 3 sophomores and 8 freshmen. When one of them is a state qualifier. If I get the state qualifiers to step forward when I call your name, I know who's here. Easton Pierce, yep. Rylan Stevens, and Jamori Williams. All 3 of them had the opportunity to wrestle at the state championships. So the really good thing about watching these kids and being with them multiple years is you see growth. And this year they were this close to being 500 in all their matches. That means the kids who first-time wrestlers who were like 3 and 13, and kids who were in other cases like Jamori had a really good record, balanced out to 48% of the wins. So they individually won 48% of their matches, and next year we expect to do around 60% wins. That's what our goal is. We also expect to be in the top 3 in the region, and we expect to go further in the team dual playoffs. This is your members of what's here of the 25-26 boys wrestling team. If I can get the girls wrestling team members to come up front, please. The girls didn't get to compete in as many matches as the boys did, but they did even better. As a team, they finished 6-2, and they won the region.
Wow.
They also finished 3rd in the state in dual competition. Along going with that, they won 59% of their individual matches.
Awesome.
We had 2 state qualifiers this year. The first is a 3-time state qualifier, Mary Williams. And a 2-time state qualifier, and also our first ever all-state wrestler for Marlboro County High School in Keasia Brown. All right, ladies, y'all can walk over here now. We have 3 girls who are graduating. If I can get Mary up front. Is Gabby here?
No.
Yeah, there she is. Gabriella Murillo. And the third senior is Haley Duncan. If I can get y'all three out front. Step up a little closer, Mary. Yeah. The three in the front. On the left is Gabriella Murillo. In the middle is Mary Williams. And on the right is Haley Duncan. Gabby finished, she had 1 year that she's a state qualifier. Haley's 2 years, a two-time state qualifier, and Mary's the first ever three-time state qualifier for Marlboro County High School. We have 17 of these young ladies coming back. We're losing the three in the front. 5 of them were juniors, 2 of them are sophomores, and we have 8 freshmen who are coming back. So we're looking to build on our third place finish and hopefully this next year win. And before I stop talking, I want to make sure that everybody understands, this is a pleasure for me. I talk to other coaches and even our own coaches, and I brag on our kids. I brag on me too. But I wouldn't be anything without these kids, not just these girls, but these boys over here. There's 2 things that y'all need to know. Number one, wrestling is growing as a sport, especially on the women's side, but in Marlboro County, it's getting bigger. And lastly, hopefully we can expand in the future to a middle school program as well. If we can get it going up through the years and these kids get a chance, they're going to do even better because you're looking at kids who've wrestled 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. Other school systems are wrestling 4 and 5 years before we even see them. So we're trying to build and we're doing a good job of it. Thank you.
At this time, I'll invite Coach Leah and Coach Knox to come forward to present our girls and boys basketball teams.
Good evening, and thank you, Marlboro County Board of Education, for the invitation. At this time, I would invite all of our team members and coaches to come forward. So I serve as the girls varsity head coach here at Marlboro County High School, along with Coach Wendell Gibson, who serves as the JV head coach, Coach Larry McNeil, who serves as one of the assistant coaches, Coach Troy Fairley, who serves as an assistant coach, along with Coach Rashida Patterson, who serves as an assistant coach for Marlboro County High School girls basketball and Blenheim Eagles basketball, and Coach Tanaya Hairston, who's a former student who now serves as a assistant coach here at Marlboro County High School. This year, we made it to be 5th in our region for qualifying, which had us qualify as players in the first round of playoffs. We competed there fairly well. We were down by 24 points at one time, and we ended up losing by only 9. So I think our girls fought hard against the team that will now play in our state championship. So they did well. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Marlboro County High girls basketball team members on their outstanding dedication for this season. At this time, I can ask them to go stand in front of the display area, and I can call their names. So we currently have no seniors that serve on our varsity team. So we will have preferably all student athletes returning for next season for the 26-27 season. And present tonight, we have several of our players. We have Layla Freeman, Zaire Bridges, Renavia McNeil. We have Serenity Bethay, Serenity David, Destiny Ford, Henrietta Lewis. We have Harmony Lewis, and then we also have Janaja Sloan tonight representing Marlboro County High girls basketball. We also have several players who are not present, but I do want to recognize one particular player who was recognized as our Region 3A qualifier for our region team, and that would be Miss Boatwright. So we'd like to recognize her this evening. And again, thank you all for participating this season, and we look forward to y'all returning next season. Thank you.
Let's give it up for all our student. Oh, Mr. Buster, I'm sorry. You coming up with the boys. That's right.
I'm here today with our student athletes, along with our coaches, Coach Purvis, Coach Kyle Dupree, Coach Ryan Dupree, Coach Travis Zimmerman, Coach James Pate. We finished third in the region this year, made it to the first round of the playoffs. We ended up losing by 2 to Battery Creek. So it was a good season. We competed and we got better every game. We currently have no seniors, so we'll be returning to everybody next season. So we look forward for a great season next year. Here today with our student athletes, we have Tamir German, Cleon Purvis, Isaiah Whitner, Jaden Adams, Amar Bethay, and last but not least, Will Jeffcoat, who's our all-region player and a nominee for the PD All-Star game this year. So it'll be a fun season next year, and these guys is ready to compete.
Let's give it up for all our student athletes and our Student of the Month award winners. God. Thank you to the parents for bringing students out for their awards. Truly amazing thing. Next, we have on the agenda is the Marlboro County School District Unsung Hero.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board members, Dr. Thorsland. It is truly an honor to recognize an individual whose quiet dedication, unwavering commitment, and daily acts of service have made a lasting and meaningful impact within the Bridge to Triple E Alternative Program. This individual was nominated by her principal, Mr. David Johnson. For the very first time, Marlboro County School District is starting the Unsung Hero Award, created to honor those who faithfully serve behind the scenes without seeking recognition or applause. In a setting where students often face significant academic and personal challenges, this educator consistently demonstrates patience, structure, and compassion. Each day is approached with intentionality and purpose, ensuring that every student feels seen, valued, and capable of success. Within an alternative program environment, relationships are essential. She has cultivated trust and stability by holding students accountable while extending grace and encouragement. Through consistent support, positive reinforcement, and a calm and steady presence, students are given the opportunity to reset, refocus, and re-engage in their educational journey. Colleagues describe this individual as dependable, selfless, and deeply committed to the success of both her students and the program. Without seeking the spotlight, she plays a vital role in shaping the culture and effectiveness of Bridge to Triple E. Her professionalism, collaborative spirit, and servant leadership truly embody the heart of the Unsung Hero Award. It is with great pride that we announce tonight's recipient of the Unsung Hero Award, Miss Tiffany Covington. Let's give her a round of applause.
Ms. Dr. Next up, Dr. Thorson.
Sure. We had some generous folks from the community donate some jackets during cold weather, and those have been out to the schools and distributed to students. So there's a quick video just to show some thankful students for their warm jackets. And then we'd love for all the folks who donated to that if you come get a picture as soon as the video's over. So thank you. we read the list of donors last time, and I apologize for not having it in front of me, but those of you who contributed to that effort, if you would please come over to our banner over here. We'd love to get a picture to go with for the website. Thank you.
I don't think a lot of them could come tonight, but we did have a couple that were able to make it.
All right, thanks again for the donation. We truly appreciate that coming from the community. And at this time, we'll have approval of minutes from February the 9th, 2026.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the minutes from our February the 9th, 2026 regular scheduled meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 9th. Did I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, let it be known by raising your right hand. Minutes are approved. Okay. At this time, we have public comments. First, we have Mr. Tim McNeil. Tim McNeil.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And now I want to speak in reference to the consolidation. I know the vote's probably going to happen in favor for it, but I would like to see your board members fight to have that fourth principle included back in Plano. Right now you have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you have 3 administrators. Next year, you're gonna have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, 200 more children, transitioning to a new building, new transportation model. I just think we need that extra principle. And also, we have to see something done to address the teacher situation. Right now, there's at least 10 to 15 first or second year international teachers on that campus. The only one in Marlboro County that has that like that. It's hurting. So board, I ask you tonight, could you please instruct the superintendent to amend that plan to include that fourth principle and some funds to hire and attract American traditionally educated teachers. Our students need it up there. Look at the test scores. Also, while you're moving forth in this budget, we need to talk about nurses' salary. We have to find a way to get nurses on our campuses without emergency room. We have to have it. The only way you're going to do it is attracting with salaries. So board, tonight I'm asking you to do 3 things. Ask the superintendent to amend that plan to include that fourth principle. Next, include separate money, pay some incentives to attract our best teachers or just some American teachers, period, so we won't have to pull down those international teachers every year. And please find some money to attract and staff nurses on our campuses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Next, we have Ms. Wybett Douglas.
Good evening. I'll skip all the formalities because I only had 3 minutes and I have a lot to say. I have a couple of questions. Community, please ask yourself, why is this interim superintendent pushing so hard to make this consolidation happen when he's leaving in a few months? Why was the survey done not publicly, but through text? Why is Clio off the table for consolidation if the goal is to balance the budget? I'll tell you why. Because he came here with an agenda, an assignment, a honey to-do list. He took Dr. Tiller's plan and he's using it. He hid behind the text instead of facing the people. Dr. Tiller sat up here and took ridicule after ridicule, disrespect after disrespect, but she was transparent with it. She did it with grace, all for YouTube and the world to see. But he hid behind the text because he didn't want that backlash. Number two, Clio is off the table because he needs Clio vote to get this passed. You're compromised. You have lacked integrity. You rather take Clio off the table and fire people, take their benefits, their insurance, mouth out of their children's mouth just to get your agenda across. That's the number one problem. The number two problem is you have a board member that's illegitimate. I'm for what's right. I don't care who it is. He openly admitted that he doesn't live in this community. He openly admitted he doesn't live in this district. You yet to do anything about it. But when Mr. Gaiman had it, you had a board member that called me to come up here, pull his records from his housing, his finance, and everything else. Where's that same energy? I'm about what is right, but you need that vote. So you look the other way. Then you come in here, on the agenda was the Colts last time. You bring it again and parade it around. We're not here for campaigning for the chair. The chairperson there, he has done 15 years, over $1 million worth of given away in donations. We hadn't seen that. The AKAs do it. The Omegas do it. But last but not least, Blenheim. Blenheim had a Black History program. Blenheim also had a science project program. I see none of you there. No one showed up but the old principal. Nobody was there. But you could go today and parade around there and size up the school to get your agenda passed to see how many you can pack our brown children in there and leave wallets open for our white children. Now, I take offense to that. It's time for you all to step up. If they're going to get rid of you, they're going to get rid of you anyway. But let them get rid of you because you have dignity, integrity, and you stand for what is right. Enough is enough. And he's not the only one that's compromised on this board.
Thank you, Ms. Dudley. Okay. Next on the agenda is board items for discussion, preliminary budget presentation. Dr. Thorpe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to give a little bit of information as we're moving into budget season, just kind of on where we are and what we're thinking about. And I'm going to see if Mr. Davis can get just a few slides put on the screen behind me. So I really want to talk about just a couple of things tonight as he pulls that up. And really, the general fund budget is driven in large part by two documents that most school districts have. Staffing standards being one and salary schedules being another. We have most school districts in South Carolina, 80, probably around the nation for that matter, 85 to 90% people. That means salaries and the fringe benefits associated with that. The 10 or 15% that's remaining, that's not people, by and large, that's going to be fixed costs, your utility costs, different expenditures. Copier contracts is a big one for schools, just things where there's not a lot of flexibility. So even if you save money, you're saving real small percentages. So decisions on how each type of employee, how many we employ, and where we put them in our schools, that's the biggest driver for our general fund budget. So I'm going to give you an example of this because I want people to understand why our salary schedules and our, our decisions on the staffing standards, why they drive the budget so much. So if we can go on, I've got an example here. So if we suppose a school in our district, any school in our district, let's say that we have 85 second grade students in that particular school. The state of South Carolina, the State Board of Education says the maximum number of students you can have in each class is 30. So let's say we're going to apply the state standards to that school. That would mean 3 teachers, because each teacher can have up to 30. So you can have up to 90 students and still cover them with 3 teachers. You can see there that I'm putting an average teacher salary at $95,000. Now that's salary and fringe, and there are probably a lot of teachers watching saying, wait a second, I'm not making $95,000. But I want to explain that because I want people to realize how much fringe benefits add to the total cost of employees. So you can look at the salary schedule and see $60,000 easily. $60,000 is on the salary schedule in more than one place. Even bachelor's degree teachers can get to $60,000 over a number of years. So if you take $60,000 and then you figure 30% fringe, which covers the employee retirement and then the FICA taxes. So 30% of 60 is roughly another 20. So now we're to 80. And if that teacher chooses the insurance option where they're covering their full family, that's another $20,000. So a $60,000 salary can be $100,000 in cost to the school district. So when I say $95,000, that's covering salary and fringe, but that's how expensive it is to employ people now. So anyway, if we apply state standards, 3 teachers for those 85 students, and that costs us, what, $275,000? No, that's actually should be $285,000. Sorry, didn't do my math real well. $285,000. However, a lot of schools, and we've talked about here, we'd love to use 25-to-1 for our classes. Well, if you apply 25-to-1 to this scenario of 85 students, now you've added a teacher, added $95,000 to the mix. And then if you add, and I had done this with different numbers, so I apologize for my poor math here. That's bad for a high school math teacher to have poor math. That would have been $380,000. And then finally, if you had a school district that said, we want our elementary class sizes to be small, then you could say 20-to-1. I don't want more than 20 students in a classroom. Well, that means an extra teacher, so 5 teachers to cover. So just an example here of how staffing standards can drive a budget. So in this particular scenario, we could go anywhere from $285,000 all the way up to $475 would be my math after I changed to the 95. So very expensive decisions are made on salary schedules and staffing ratios. So I did want to talk a little bit about our budget challenges here. If I can, there we go. Too far. Okay, current budget challenges in Marlboro County. We've got some inconsistent placement on our salary schedules, and I'm going to show those here in just a second. But we've got salary schedules for every position, but we've got different people in different salary schedules, and there's just not a lot of rhyme nor reason in some particular cases. We've got some folks who I would say are placed on the schedule where they should be, but then some people are placed on schedules where it just, to be honest, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it's a much higher salary. So we're trying to work through that now. We do have what I would say, as far as balancing our budget, we have an excessive amount of administrative and in some situations clerical positions. We've learned, Ms. Grant and Ms. Watson have been uncovering, just even in the past couple of months, some places where we didn't budget money and we should have, or we under budgeted money that we did have there. So an example, special education. We get a lot of our special education money from the federal government. They fund us for our special ed program. And in some cases where we can't hire special ed teachers outright to work for the school district, we have to go through contract agencies. And we're going to pay over $1 million in special ed expenses this year that we've learned it wasn't budgeted. So when you passed the budget last July, there wasn't a line item for that $1 million that we're going to have to spend because we've got to educate our special needs population. We've
On that thought, but you say that is this coming out, the $1 million that coming out of federal funds that was unbudgeted?
No, so we've spent all of the federal funds, and we still have expenditures totaling about $1 million that we're going to have to move into the general fund because we've got to cover them. We can't not cover the.
Would that million be from now, or would that million be an estimate to the end of the school year?
It would be the estimate of what it's going to cost us for this current school year, over and above what we expected. We've had a couple of positions we've found that where we were paying people and they had positions in our district, but they weren't in the budget that was passed in July. And then a couple of the things that were under budgeted, activity security. So that would be our security officers that come to our sporting events, come to board meetings, come to different events in the district where we need additional security. We've already blown through that money, and anything we have to have now is over and above what we budgeted. We're working with our law enforcement partners on that right now. Mr. Graham, Coach Johnson have been working on that some. And then building maintenance is another area where we didn't have an adequate amount of money budgeted. So when we have a roof leak or we have an HVAC unit go down, we just didn't have an adequate amount of money there. So we're challenged in a couple of ways. And then the final point I want to make is a balanced budget is not adequate for our school district right now because our general fund balance has gotten so low. We're actually having to build a budget where we can add to the fund balance because we don't want our fund balance just to stay flat. We want it to get back to a healthy number where we're not having to do TANs in the fall. And so we just, I say that to say there's a lot of work to do and a lot of balancing in the budget. And I don't want to just say cutting. Cutting is a part of it, but there are two ways to balance a budget. You can reduce expenditures or you can increase revenue. And I'll get to that in just a second. And revenue will increase some. Another expense I just want to make you aware of, the new teacher salary schedule. It adds $2,000 to each cell on the schedule. And you've probably read about that in the media. That's the governor and the State Department of Education's plan. But I wanted to make you aware, what does that mean to Marlboro County? When you see $2,000 for every teacher cell, that's a good thing. And I'm glad we're paying our teachers more money to make it a more sought after position. Teachers are able to take care of their families better when they're paid adequately. So I'm not at all saying that's a negative thing, but it does have real implications to our budget. So we currently have 216.5 certified teachers in our district. So at $2,000 a pop, that's $433,000.
When you say it, the governor says we're gonna get the 2,000, wouldn't that money come from the state?
I'll get to that. Yes, some of that, not necessarily all of it, but some of it will. But that's 433. When you put fringe benefits on there, we expect that to have a $575,000 impact on our budget for FY27. That's money that we're going to have to add to our budget. So a significant challenge that we have. So I do want to talk a little bit about local taxes. As I said, there are two ways to balance a budget. You can reduce expenditures, but you can also increase revenues. Now, to the chairman's question, there will be increased revenue from the state. I'm confident in that. We don't know the amount yet because state legislation, the state budget hasn't been passed. We don't know how much additional money we'll get from the state. It will cover some additional funding. We're just in the midst of that. But I did want to give you just our neighbors here, as far as what the millage rates are and what the value of a mill is. And the amount of money that the school district gets from local taxes is as simple as multiplying these numbers in this table. You can see that our millage levy at 183.3 is very competitive in the area. It's third out of four. And we're very competitive with our millage levy. The value of a mill, I'm sorry, I'm looking on my computer and not there. The millage levy is competitive, but the value of a mill is not competitive. If you look, every time, if you guys passed a mill increase in the school operations, it would generate $65,000 for our school district. Whereas some of the neighboring districts generate quite a bit more. Dillon is fairly comparable, but still $20,000 more than ours. But in spite of the fact that the value of a mill is so much lower here, we still have a very competitive millage levy. Now, it does work in South Carolina in such a way that districts that have a lower value of a mill, so that would be us, $65,000 is pretty low for school districts across the state. So we get a higher percentage of state support. The state's going to support us with a higher percentage than they would support Darlington, because Darlington's value of a mill is much higher than ours. However, this is just, I just wanted you to be aware of what the area millage levies are and the value of a mill, because the next chart, I just want to show you that you do have options as a school board to consider additional mills. I'm not to the point where we can recommend a path forward. I just want you to be informed as to what you could do. The state of South Carolina allows us to look back 3 years and capture the inflation as well as changes in population. In Marlborough County, our 3-year look back would allow us 17.97 mills. So you could go up that much. And that's the amount of funding that 17.97 mills would allow. And then I just put 2 other numbers in there that would be other options and just did the math for you. But that's just $65,000 per mill times whatever the additional mill. So if you went up 1 mill, $65,000, 2 mills, $130,000, and so on. Those are just a couple of numbers. So anyway, just wanted you to be aware of that as we get into the budget. Those are things that you as a board will have to consider.
Can we get a copy of this emailed to us?
It will be attached. So the way we're doing agendas now, you'll just be able to click on this and see.
Okay, this will be on a future agenda. I'm sorry.
No. It's what I'm saying is when you, like, you know how we hyperlink the agendas now, where you can just click on it, it's on the agenda now. You can click on it.
Where's it at?
Yes, I did it this afternoon. That's why you probably didn't see it.
Okay.
I just, Ms. Grant actually gave me these numbers for how many meals we could go up and such this afternoon. So we just got this as a late addition.
Okay.
And then I did want you to see, this is also connected to, but if I could get Mr. Davis, can you click on the salary scales? I've linked that in the agenda as well. And just so you're aware of what our current salary scales are and kind of where we are. I believe that as far as how much we pay our employees, that we should be competitive in the region. I don't want to be last in the region. I'm not saying we need to be first in the region and head over heels above everybody else, because we certainly have financial challenges, but I want to be competitive in the region. I don't want to tell any group of employees that you're the lowest paid in the area. And I talked to a couple of superintendents last week about sharing salary scales just for the whole purpose of us trying to be competitive in the area. That's my commitment, and that's what I think is fair. But this is just, you can see along the bottom there, the different tabs. Those are the current salary schedules that we use in Marlborough County. And there are a couple of things that we feel like we need to address. one of the issues is we're having a little trouble balancing the books in food service. And in examining salary schedules, the food service salaries are quite a bit higher than some of the other similar jobs in the
Well,
district.
It's a reason for that, and you weren't here. I just want to make you aware of that. When the food service, they had since they didn't have to use their money because all the lunches were free, they had a couple of $1 million left in their budget. So we upped their pay because they were low pay in food services. The board voted for them to use that money because if they didn't use it, they would lose it. So we used that money to give employees a raise that felt that was kind of go along with what other districts were having. So didn't come out the budget. They had their funds left over.
I certainly understand, and I'm not trying to point fingers or say it's wrong or right. I'm just saying currently we're having trouble balancing the budget in food service, and we should be making money in food service with the just the current state of the FDA program in the schools.
Right.
And we're certainly working with Ms. Chappelle. She wants it to be balanced and healthy as well. And then the final link I've got there in this preliminary budget presentation is just a link to the draft. I said salary scales. I should have said scale. This is the draft teacher scale that the state has put out. I do have some draft scales that Ms. Grant, Ms. Watson, Mr. Mosby, and I have just been talking about. I don't think I'm prepared to release those yet, just because I don't want people to look at them and think, oh, I'm going to get paid this next year, because we're just not far enough along in the process to say that we're ready to make those recommendations yet. But we are working on salary schedules, and I just want you to know that that we'll have a kind of a budget draft to you soon. But there are things that you as a board need to start thinking about ahead of time to be prepared for that, because you will have options. You know, it'll come to you that we can do it this way or we can do it this way, and y'all will have input on what path we take. And that could involve small millage. I understand from last year there was not a desire to do a large scale millage increase, and I'm not necessarily a proponent of that. I'm just saying you need to be aware of what your options are as a board, and be prepared to make decisions in the coming months, because we're in March now, and we're going to have this budget hopefully passed and ready to go in early to mid-June. And, you know, it's time to start just thinking through what our options are and going from there. So any questions about kind of where we are in the budget at this point?
I just want to make a couple of comments. You know, I think this board, from what we went through last year, we're well aware of the situation of where we are now and how we got this way over the past year and what we need to do to fix it. And the first thing we need to fix it, you said some of the salaries, which we knew then were not supposed to be where they're at. And I just want to say, and straightening that out, we'll make sure we do that fairly, because if you're don't have the qualifications to be on a certain salary, it needs to go back to where everybody's on the correct pay scale. And when we talk about cutting jobs, we know we have to cut, and we know we have to do tax millage increase. But if we're going to cut jobs, we need to do it fairly. We need to do it by seniority, and just it needs to be done correctly and treat people with integrity when we're doing it, because these people been working on these jobs all their lives. They give them back to this county, they give them to our children, and we need to do it decently and orderly. And the other thing we talked about was tax millage increase. So all the things that we were supposed to do last year, but that we did not do. We didn't address the salary scales. We didn't do the millage increase. We didn't do the consolidation. So that's where we're at today. And those are the things that we need to do it, but we need to do it the right way. Just a comment.
So are we going over the finance report too right now? Is that what we're
No,
doing?
Ms. Watson's going to come
Okay.
up in just a minute, so we can talk about that in just a minute.
As far as these scales are concerned, are we saying that we're going to adjust the current employees to reflect these scales right here? You're going to adjust these scales some more?
I'm hoping to adjust those scales because I do want to get some more of the neighboring district scale so I can compare. So like if we want to look at what we pay a bus driver,
Mhm.
I want to compare that to what Darlington or Dillon or Chesterfield pays bus drivers. Because like I said, I want to be competitive in the region. I wouldn't want someone who lives in Marlborough County to be incentivized to drive to Dillon or drive to Chesterfield to work for them. I want them to want to work in Marlborough County, and I want our salaries to be competitive in the region. So that's my goal in developing new salaries, is just to compare them to the region and make sure that we're not way off base where there would be an incentive for people who live here to go work somewhere else. So that's my goal. I'm just really presenting the salary schedules to you just so you'll be aware. I've been told that, well, and I've noticed regionally, because when I look at those neighboring school districts, I can find the teacher salary schedule, but I can't find a salary schedule for bus drivers or administrators or custodians. They're just not on websites. And I'd like for ours to be a little more open. I'd like for us to adopt salary schedules, and then I'd like to put them on our website. So people, I've heard about I guess last year, some salaries getting posted on social media or something and people being shocked by it. I don't think people should be shocked by it, because I think we should post our scales and people should look at it and say, here's what you get paid if you work as a blank, whatever the position is in the school district. And our salaries shouldn't surprise people, because they should be within the salary schedule that's posted on the school district website. And that's where I'd kind of like for us to get, if that's the pleasure of the board.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Tom.
Well, I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, especially in particular bus drivers. At our last regional meeting that I attended, last regional school board meeting that I attended, that was one of the sticky areas really across all districts, getting bus drivers. And I think we need to be aware that most districts find it hard to attract and obtain bus drivers. And I think that was one of the reasons too that drove us to giving them raises, because a lot of times the amount of time that bus drivers were receiving in the past, bus drivers just came and dropped the children off, picked them up, and they was gone. And they really wasn't getting but a couple hours a day. And I think we had to up our pay in order to make sure we retain some of the people and give them more time to that. And I know I was talking to a couple of districts when we was at our regional meeting. In our region, we cover Horry and Darlington, all these people, we meet together, the School Board Association, in our regional meeting. And that was one of the areas that a lot of the other boards across our region was talking about, making sure we have competitive salaries for bus drivers in particular, because if the students can't get to school, then
correct,
we're in a bind.
Correct. You're exactly right, Mr. Toms. And we do guarantee 6 hours for our bus drivers, because 6 hours is the minimum to be considered a full-time employee, which then qualifies you for benefits. So we do guarantee 6 hours to our full-time bus drivers, and that allows them to get benefits, which quite honestly, benefits in the state of South Carolina, that's one of the ways that we stay competitive as far as hiring people, because it is a nice benefits package when people work full-time for a school district. So our bus drivers do benefit from that, but we certainly need to look at their salaries as well and make sure we're competitive.
Yeah. I don't think Dr. Thornton, the outrageous was about the salaries. The outrage was about some of the salaries that weren't supposed to be where they're at. And some people may be all okay with it now, but I'm not okay with it, because it's not right. If you don't earn the salary, you should be on it. And that played a huge role in our budget. And until we correct it, it's going to still have us out of budget, because it was not something we were budgeted for, and we're surprised by. But I think you'll have the chance in this board. We will have the chance to fix that.
Let me ask you something, Dr. Thorsman. State Department has had our budget ever since July, right?
Yes, sir.
And State Department's making all the decisions concerning our budget, right?
They've had authority over the budget since July. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So now, They've had the budget ever since July, which means that they've had it the entire year. And they haven't been able to get it right. This board doesn't vote on where that money is going. I mean, we're just a figurehead here as far as that goes. So you all have the money, but yet you coming out here telling us why, why we can't do this or we can't do that. We're not making the decision about the money, you all are. So, why are you here telling us about, you might have to do this, might have to do that? We can't do anything until we get our budget back. Now, you all came in, you took our superintendent, and you got rid of some of our administrators. And now you're complaining about you still don't have enough money. You came in, we were lied to, they used extortion tactics. We got rid of our superintendent. We got rid of valuable people, especially administrators, people we really need. In other words, you got rid of Herbert, but now he's back as a consultant. Now, technically, he should be making more money now as a consultant than he was as a salaried employee. The auditing people came in, told us no money was missing, which was what your MAGA white supremacists came in and said that money was missing and stuff. The audit says that there's no money missing, so why were these people fired when you had enough money to pay them? And you're still getting rid of people, messing with people's livelihoods when you don't have to. Now, you talk about our bus drivers. Our bus drivers get up early in the morning and they wake us up on our street because they're coming through there getting those kids. And I appreciate the bus drivers. But the thing you all came in and did, bus drivers were getting their activity money. You came in, dropped it from $35 to $25 an hour for no reason at all, because you said you didn't think they deserved that. Well, I'm here to tell you, if those bus drivers decide to stay home one day, or maybe 2 days, or maybe 3 days, because they're not organized, so they can't go on strike, but each one of them has a mind of their own. And you may want to sit here and play them for fools, but they're not. And they know, and everybody knows when you're doing them wrong. Now, you came in and you cut their pay from $35 an hour for activity runs to $25, and nobody told them in advance that their pay was going to be cut. In other words, when it comes time to get paid, then all of a sudden, oh, you don't have my money. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. Because those bus drivers, they're up when I sure wouldn't be up that time of morning. They get our kids here, and 60% of our kids ride the bus. And all my little kids in Bennettsville have to ride here, there, and everywhere. And then also with this consolidation, whenever Dr. Tiller said something about consolidation, everybody jumped up and down. Now it's right back. So what's the difference? She told you was gonna have to consolidate because you don't have the money to run all these buildings. Bottom line. So now, because you bringing it to us, I don't see anybody out there hollering about, I got to go to this school, that school, or whatever. No, those same ones who didn't want the consolidation, where are they now? Those are your MAGA white supremacists.
stop and cloud, frame from that part. I understand your.
So, you know, you telling us about the budget. We don't control the budget. The State Department controls the budget.
So I would beg to disagree. While the State Department does have financial oversight, the effort was made to keep local rule and keep this board intact. The State Department has in other school districts completely taken over operations of the school district, disbanded the board, put a superintendent in place. And there was a desire not to do that in Marlboro. And as far as the State Department having the budget, the success or lack of success in a budget is at its approval. So when we bring a budget to you in June to get final approval on, then that decision is setting the course for the entire next school year. Because what you're doing is employing people and you're putting funds in place to fund next school year. So when the State Department took over the financial operations of this district, all of the expenditures for this school year were largely put in place at that time. When you approved your budget last July, you were setting the course for this budget year. So yes, the State Department has now taken over financial operation, but what did you want? Did we just want to come in and the State Department say, okay, we need to cut 25 people middle of the year, no matter what it does to students? That's not possible. So when you set the budget in June, you're setting the course for next school year. And that was already done by the time the State Department took financial control in this district for this school year. So I would strongly disagree with your assertion that the State Department's completely in charge. That's not true. They intentionally, the decision was made to leave the local board in place and to continue with local rule. Now, I will say it's still on the table. The State Department does have the authority to come in and take over if they would like.
Well, if they come in and take it, so be it. That's, in other words, that's what the your MAGA white supremacists want anyway. Yeah. So and that's what I told them in the back room. If you want it, come and get it. But I don't, like I said, you're in over your head because you can't function without her. And then we've got the lady in special ed, you got her as a consultant. Poor Mr. Miles is back in working as a substitute because he loved those children over there at BIS. And then Mr. Black is out there because he loves his students and he loves the fire department. And you've done all these people wrong. And to my folks in the school district, my administrators, beware, because they'll do it to them, they'll do it to you. To all my teachers in the school district, if they'll do it to them, they will do it to you. And especially my teachers who are working retirees. Those are the people that want to be here. They don't have to be here because they've already retired. But, you know, you all came in and you don't care anything about Marlboro County and our little brown children. It's just a front. Okay. And I'm sick of it. So if you all want to come in and take the whole thing, take the whole thing. Then you got to keep it for 6 years and see where it goes from there. Because Dr. Tiller and those, they got us out of the ditch and got all of the schools out of the ditch. So we're going to see where they go, where those schools go from here. I pray to God that all our principals are doing the best that they can. But it's something about the morale of an organization that whenever people aren't satisfied, they don't give their best.
That's true, Dr. Clark.
Over
Let's-
4 years.
Let's move on to the next, Dr. Thorson.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, over 4 years, the general fund balance went from over 14 million to just under 5 million. We could have left things alone. It could have just no intervention whatsoever, and the school district would be bankrupt really soon. Bankrupt.
No, it wouldn't. Wouldn't have been bankrupt.
We're gonna move forward, but I beg to differ on that because we had went over the problem. Dr. Tiller had seen the problem, seen things that's being implemented now. Well, she was trying to get implemented then, but she just didn't have the support. So let's move on to the next
Okay.
item on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is
Consolidation survey.
Okay, Dr. Thorson.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure, and I know you've had it for a few days now, to be able to look at the survey. I know the public comment was that it was notified by text. It was sent through our normal channels to parents and stakeholders in the district. I think you can see there were many, over 350 respondents to the survey. So there was a lot of feedback there. And you have both a summary of that and the full text of every person's comment that you can look at, as well as I linked the map again so that you could see which students we were talking about from the northern part of the Bennettsville attendance area that we would like to transition to Wallace. I was speaking to the chairman earlier, and we do want to be careful that we wouldn't overpopulate Wallace and make it to where too many students were zoned there and we wouldn't have enough space for them. So I think Mr. McNeil's estimate is that the shaded area, the northern part of the green area, which is the Bennettsville attendance area, would be comprise about 50 students that may be additional students to Wallace. We think we can house that many and maybe even a handful more. So that's certainly something that I'd be happy to work with Mr. McNeil and others who know that area well to see if that line needs to be tweaked at all.
Yep.
But I do feel like that this is a good path forward. I do understand, and I don't want any person to think they're not being listened to. I recognize that if you live in the town of Bennettsville, somewhere close to the downtown area of Bennettsville, driving to Blenheim for 4th and 5th grade is further. It is, if you do Google Maps from BIS to Blenheim, it's 13 minutes, 9 point something miles, 13 minutes. So I recognize that for some students, that means 13 more minutes in the bus or a parent dropping off. It's a little bit further to drive. I get that. However, students on the southern side of Bennettsville, if you live down below, the commercial area, and you still go to BIS, now your trip to Blenheim is not that much different because you're already on that side of town. So it's going to be different for different students.
Yeah.
But I do think I've been using $500,000. I put some numbers to that the other day. I think it's probably in excess of 650,000 that would be saved with this consolidation. And if we don't get it through the consolidation, we still have to get the money somewhere because the budget does have to be balanced. So I feel like this is the best answer in a tough situation. And anyway.
I know at some point, well, right now, soon we're gonna have to consolidate. Just got a question. How many students in Wallace? Mr. Jacobs, how many students you have at Wallace? About 437. What's the capacity? 550? You got 4 classrooms empty, right? We say 25, 50, 75, 100, 125 kids.
We could
We
go to 550.
You could go to 550. So
Easy.
my concern is that you got a lot of kids that's staying close on the Wallace end that could go to Wallace, and you won't be sending the entire Bennettsville kids to Blenheim. And I think the parents that stay closer to Wallace than they do to Blenheim deserve the opportunity because we have school choice. Because you got people that taking their kids, McCall and Clio. Why don't the kids from Bennettsville have the same opportunity to take their children that took school up their choice. Now, the other thing we can look at is everybody saying they want choice schools, make the whole county choice. So everybody will have a choice to send their kids where they want to. I know it's too late in the game to talk about that, but open them all up. Make it fair for everybody. But if not, right now we're in a situation we have to make a decision to make a move now. And I think the fair thing to do is get many of those fourth and fifth graders from Bennettsville that's closer on the Walmart side, the Marlboro Court side, up 38 and Highway 9 and Highway 79. Get as many as we can in Wallace without busting a bubble in Wallace. So if we don't send them to Wallace, here's what's going to happen. You pack them all in Blenheim out of BIS, and other people will have choices to go to Wallace and McCall, and they won't have that same opportunity, and that's not fair. So if we're going to do the consolidation and we're going to reroute the children, reroute them the right way. We know we got to consolidate to get the money, but let's try to make, it's about the parents and the children. We're not here to serve the children the right way, and we're wasting time.
If I could say something for a moment there, I was looking at the numbers of students. Bennettsville make up out of the 3,300 students in Marlboro County. Bennettsville accounts for over 2,000 of them, right? Yep. So in actuality, you know, we keep saying send Bennettsville children to Blenheim, 4th and 5th grade. Blenheim is Bennettsville children. They just housed in that building in Blenheim.
Yep.
And if you look at the middle, the 5th grade in Clio consists of children from Blenheim and Clio. And I think principal says you had 2 5th grade classes in Clio. And a portion of those are from Blenheim and the other portion is from Clio. And all together, we may be talking 45 students. We're talking 45 students that'll be coming from the 5th grade at Clio going to Blenheim. And we're talking another 200 coming from BIS going down there. So, you know, we've had a lot of conversation as of being, and it's been the adults. We've been talking like the boogeyman live in Blenheim. Like we mix those children up with the other children. They all from Bennettsville anyway, majority of them, right? They're brothers and sisters, and they're brothers and sisters and family members. Most of them from Bennettsville anyway. 75% of the children in Blenheim now is from Bennettsville. The children from Bennettsville are being bused to Blenheim. And we've been making a lot of noise and making out like if we mix the big ones with the little ones, like something gonna happen. We got K through 8 at Wallace. We got K through 8 at McCall. The big kids are not gonna eat the little kids. You know, we just have to make sure our building administrators and our staff do what they're required to do, monitor the students. And I'm quite sure they're already doing it. They just have to monitor a little more. And I think we need to move on with this. We need to move on past this because one way or the other, the problem only going to be fixed through one or two ways: closing schools or firing people. And around about now, I think people need their jobs. You know, what I've been hearing in the county is people complain about light bills and other. People need their job. They need their money. And I think consolidating and going ahead and move past this, sure, unless we get industry in Marlboro County, unless the youth that's growing up come back home, start a family, and start repopulating this area, we may have to consolidate another school down the line. We're not getting Clio now, but if their numbers don't improve, it won't be any students in Clio next year, you know, a year after, whenever that time comes. It's no fault of ours. That's just the demographics of things that's happening in this county. Unless we do things to improve our economic state in this county, we will continue to do this. You have other counties in South Carolina where their population is dropped, and Marlboro County is no exception. Without industry, without jobs, people will not make this their home. We're getting older and older people into this community, and it's pretty much turning into a retirement community. And if there's no young people, our numbers will not increase. So we don't need to continue to kick a can down the road. We need to go ahead and move forward in our budget process because it won't get any easier from here. You know, that's my comment, sir.
Okay,
Finance.
Financial report.
yep, financial report.
So first of all, I want to introduce two people to you that you may already know. Ms. Angela Grant has been in Marlboro County since, I guess, July. And she has been our financial consultant with the school district, and she's behind the scenes. This is the first time she's been to a board meeting, so I wanted to acknowledge her. But Ms. LaTanya Watson, I think, is going to come to the podium. And you guys approved her last month as our new Executive Director of Finance. So excited to have Ms. Watson at her first board meeting with official duties. And she printed that finance report for us last week, and certainly give you a chance to greet her and ask any questions you might have of Ms. Watson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have you had a chance to review your reports? Have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
So I had taken note, a couple, so we're supposed to be ideally at 41% is what it says. Okay, so I had taken time to pull out all of the accounts that are not at 41, they're lower than 41.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite a few of them. And some of them are even alarming because they're in negative 48 and negative 149 and negative, a lot of negatives. So can you kind of help us with that? Account number 145, homebound, is that negative 35?
Yes. Okay, so homebound, we just budgeted amount, but we have no idea how many students are going to be on homebound. And when they are on homebound, we have to offer those services. So that budget could go over easily. We
Okay.
don't have a clue about that.
And then the safety, I think you probably addressed that earlier. Was that the officers and stuff coming to the meetings? Okay, and then workman's comp, it sounds like we might have had a claim or something. We are negative 12 on that one.
Again, that's just the estimate. We have an estimate every year, so we don't know the exact amount until we get the bill. And that's based off of salaries.
Okay, and then health services, it was negative 149, number 213.
Now, which,
Let me look at it. 213, I'm sorry. It wasn't, it didn't copy and paste over correctly, but we're at 37, which is below 41. Health services.
I will have to look at that, do some research, and can I get back with you on that one?
Sure. And then 266, data processing. I had noted that one. Let's see.
Okay. I'll research that one as well.
You want me to just email this over to you?
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, in addressing 41, and it says we had 54% of total budget at this time, correct?
On which?
47? No,
Which
it's on
one?
47 on the
Overall,
salary,
we're
especially,
47.
and then overall,
For salaries?
right.
Mhm.
Yes.
And what I'm really getting at is when it comes down to the entire budget, whether you're supposed to be at 41 and we're at 48, and pertaining to areas that we know, like workman comp and different things that we don't know gonna happen until it happens. I know these are budgeted numbers, but some areas have 100% and it hadn't been used. And the point I was making is sometimes monies can be moved and transferred. Correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
That can be moved and transferred to come up with the fund, because the bottom line is we still dealing with the total budget number that we approved, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else?
Congratulations.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
for the
you.
report. All righty. Policy GCD, professional staff, vacations and holiday. And policy GDD, support staff, vacations and holiday.
And I've addressed this at a board meeting in the past, where the policy, these particular policies, GCD and GDD, gave certain benefits to 240-day employees that other employees in the district did not receive. To the point where it could be argued that a 240-day employee would work fewer days than a 220-day employee. I mean, that's how generous, I guess, these two policies were. And I told a couple people coming in to this meeting that this wouldn't necessarily be a popular recommendation. But I feel like the vacation policies for 240-day employees were just too generous, and we can't afford the payouts. Now, I do want to be clear with this recommendation. It is doing away with vacation, but I want to explain that. And it is doing away with payouts for vacation days, but that would be only for, if you pass this policy, it would be only for people who were hired in the district after the date that this policy was implemented. People that have vacation now, who have earned it with the current policy that's in place, would keep that vacation. And if they retired 10 years from now even, and they still had vacation time that they hadn't used, they would still get a payout. We're not taking away, I'm not recommending to you to take away benefits that people have earned under current policies. I'm saying this has contributed to the financial situation, and I would argue that it was inequitable for a 220-day employee versus a 240-day employee. I think the leave, the practice in the county was such that those 7 vacation days that were listed in the policy were actually taken out of the work calendar. So when we said a 240-day work calendar, it was really 233 days. And then if you got as many as 15 additional vacation days on top of that, 233 minus 15, now you're down to 218, which is less than what a 220-day person works. And just defining terms so everybody knows what we're talking about, there are 2 different policies that we may need to tweak a little bit, but they deal with annual leave, sick leave. And I'm going to put annual sick as equal terms. So if you call it annual days or sick days, to me, that's kind of the same thing. If you do need to call in sick one day, that would certainly be a sick leave day. But if your child is sick and you need to stay home with your child, I would call that an annual leave day. Or if you just needed a day off one day because you just need a day off, that would be an annual leave day. So we have a policy that governs that. And teachers, 190-day employees get 12 days. I think if you work 200 or 210, you might get 13, 220s, 14, and 240, you get 15 of those days. I'm not talking about changing those days. This vacation policy was over and above those days off. What I'm used to in school districts is when if you work 240, you actually have a calendar that says these are the 240 days you're supposed to be at work. And you got 15 leave days that you can take as needed, just scheduling it with your boss. Or call in sick if you're not feeling well. I'm not talking about changing those. I'm saying the vacation policy we had was very generous, and we have, Ms. Grant might help me remember, but I think we have in excess of $100,000 in payments that we need to make for vacation leave that they haven't been paid consistently. Some people got payout for their vacation time when they retired. Other people were denied that. And I do want to be consistent and apply that equally across the board. If you retired and you had vacation time, we should pay it out because that's what the policy said. And in looking at those who didn't get paid, we kind of have a debt of over $100,000 to make that right with people. But going forward, I think it's in the best interest of the district financially not to continue the generous vacation policies that we had.
So we are going to address the ones that we owe. We're looking into how we're going to be able to get that to them.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Dr. Thorson, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So we're saying people who work 240 days, the holidays that are listed on this policy, they are actually supposed to work that day. They will not get credit for that when they retire. Is that what you're saying?
I think the holidays basically are saying we're not going to schedule a work day on any of these holidays. We're never going to have a work calendar that would call somebody to work on July 4th or Christmas or Martin Luther King Day. We're going to be closed those days because these are holidays that the district's saying these are protected days. We're not going to ask anybody to work. Now, ox is in the ditch. We may have to, if a freezer goes bad on one of these holidays, one of our maintenance employees may have to go deal with the freezer, because it's urgent, but we're never going to schedule working on those days. But if you get hired to work 240 days, I think there should be a calendar that calls for 240 days for you to be at your job. And then you've got 15 annual leave, sick leave days that you can take as needed. But even with a 240-day calendar, so if you think a year has 52 weeks, 52 times 5 is 260. So if you worked every Monday through Friday in a calendar year, it will be 260 days, plus or minus 1 or 2, because it's, there's a few extra days in the year, but over 52 weeks. But we don't have anybody working 260. Our longest contract is 240. So they're 20 days that we're building even into a 240-day calendar that would comprise all these vacation days. We're saying you're never going to be asked to work on these days, and you're going to get 20 of those 260 Monday through Fridays off every year anyway. So you work 240, you get 15 annual leave days, sick leave days, and I guess that essentially leaves 225 days that you would have to be in the office to get paid. You can accrue those sick leave days, so you can accrue those all the way up to 90, which for any employee that's out there listening, the best short-term disability insurance policy you could ever have is to have 90 sick leave days built up. Because then if anything happened, that's probably about 4 months worth of pay that you could have if you had those sick leave days built up. So building up your sick leave, annual leave is the best thing you can do. I think this policy originated. There are some districts who still have 12-month employees who work 260-day calendars. And this policy, I think, was put in place for districts where you had employees that worked 250 or 260 days. We don't have that. So I don't think it's necessary.
And so I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas, just going back to when you were talking about comparable to other districts near us, is this something that they're doing as well?
Very good question. And it's a mixed bag. I will say, Dillon 4 does not do vacation. They don't pay it out. Chesterfield does have a policy similar to this, but they also have employees that work more than 240 that we don't have. So there are across the state. I don't have a breakdown, but you'll see it both ways. You will see districts that have generous policies like this. Marlboro was not out there on an island as the only district with this policy, but those districts are in a better financial position to handle this generous policy than we're in. We don't have the financial ability to support this right now. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're in better shape. District wants to re-implement a policy like this. I think it would certainly be something that could be considered. We can't afford it right now.
Ms. Galloway did ask part of the question that I had, but I do recall when we did have 250-day employees.
Okay.
And I believe that is when we originally started these policies. We did have 250-day administrative policy. And I think our budget restraints is what we really went to bring it back down to 240.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
And it very well could be, but we don't have anybody over 240 now.
And I know it would have to be something we would have to bring back before the board for us to approve. But in bringing it back, do research and see what it is, because we don't want to put ourselves, we want to stay competitive.
I agree with you.
I just want to make sure we stay competitive, because we don't want to cut out, it's not like when you come to Marlboro County, you got a mall, you got a movie theater, you got a bowling alley. We don't want to take away all the incentives. when we're trying to recruit somebody.
And I can give you an example of, I think this policy though made it advantageous for people to be 240. So they wanted to be 240 in some cases where I don't think they needed to. So I think we were requiring some of our employees to work more days than they really need to be in the office. And I want us to look at that in our budget too. So I'm just going to give you an example, and I'm not picking on this group, but I'm just going to give you an example. An elementary assistant principal. I don't think they need to be in the building 240 days a year.
Right.
And I think now I'm not one who says we're not overpaying our assistant principals. We need to keep their salary whole, but we need to lower their expectation of working. They should have a few weeks off in the summer because I think it's okay for them to take some time off in the summer. We don't, unless there's a summer school program in a building, elementary assistant principals don't, I would argue, don't need to be there 240. So let's make them 220, keep their compensation where it is.
And they were that way. They
Yes.
were. Somebody changed it.
But this policy made it advantageous for employees to get to 240.
Yeah.
And I think we should hire people for the amount of time we need them and give them time off in the summer or Christmas break if we don't essentially need them in the building.
Okay. All right. Moving right along.
Okay.
Board business. That cover both policies, right?
Yes. And you'll see if you click on those two links, I've made those two policies exactly the same. One covers certified employees, one covers support staff employees. But I feel strongly that anytime we can treat all of our employees the same, we should treat our employees the same. So I would say in this policy, we should treat them equally. And I don't see any reason to differentiate between certified or support.
Okay. Great. Board business action. Second reading of policy GDF, support staff hiring. Dr.
Yes, sir. This is just your final approval of the policy that we've discussed for a couple of meetings now, which essentially says for any employment change, if we hire anyone, it has to be no later than the next board meeting. You have to be made aware of it. It still doesn't require you to approve support staff hires. It requires the staff to notify you of changes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
I move that we approve second and final read of policy GDF, support staff hiring.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to approve policy GDF. Any other discussion on that? Is there any? All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Policy GDF has been adopted. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have athletic phase 2, athletic plan, athletic rep and Corey, football coach, Mr. Corey Johnson. How you doing tonight, Mr. Johnson?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to start a presentation off with a quick recap video of phase 1.
Let's take the tone. He's friend.
Hey, it's time to eat, bro.
Now what we do?
Eat, baby. Let's go. Y'all gotta watch it. Y'all gotta watch it.
I used to run the ball like that.
So our phase one initiative pushed consolidation of the middle school football team. It also pushed the flag football team, girls flag football team. We had 38 participants, and we actually fielded 2 teams. We were in conference with West Florence, South Florence, and Wilson. We had a girl power day here in which all of the football players, the varsity football players helped. It was an amazing night. Girls flag was really good. It merged the 2 seasons, the fall and the winter season, and we had 38 opportunities for girls to participate that would not have happened if you all did not initiate phase one. Middle school cheer had 20 participants. That went extremely well as well. Middle school football had 43 participants, but 4 were on the JV team, so totaled 47 in total. Last year, we had 46 with all 3 schools combined. So we actually had 1 more kid participate in football this past year. We had a 6-1 record. Our middle school participants in high school sports, meaning they were on a C team and or on a junior varsity or varsity team, went up to 23 participants, with the previous year being 5. So this is a recap of what we went over the last time we were all together when we passed phase one. The surrounding counties, ADMs are up here: Scotland, Richmond, Hoke, Dillon, Sherrall, and then our ADMs are up here. And this is our 2026 ADMs with their 2024 ADMs. All right, so phase 2 was to unify the baseball and softball teams to transition to combine to 1 baseball and softball team for Marlboro County. Also to unify the girls and boys basketball team and establish 1 unified team. Now, before we go any further, I want to make sure that everybody understands that we can make a C team whenever needed, okay, which would be a freshman team. A C team can persist of kids from the 7th to the 9th grade. So if we were to have an overflow of children when we did unify the teams, that we could have a C team. Also, before we go to the next slide, I would like everybody to know that the C team would carry 15. And for every one of these sports, it would carry 15, which means that we would have the ability to carry 30 kids per sport. And that's not far off from the number that we have at the 3 middle schools right now with our participation. Phase 2 athletics will also push to have a middle school track team. It will also push for us to go into conference participation. We do have a conference that is willing to accept us. They have already accepted our football team, and they said that whenever we do consolidate, they will accept us as well in the other sports. All right, here's the reason for consolidations. For winter and spring sports, roster sizes. We want to have good participation numbers, competitive excellence. One thing that I've seen from 2024, the difference between 2024 and 2025 in the fall especially, is that our kids in the fall were pushed to compete harder as we played 7 teams that were not in the district. The competitive level was not even close to what it was the previous year when we were just competing in our county. A better overall experience. Our kids that participated in middle school football, some of them, a lot of them haven't been outside of our county. They got to see different places. They got to be able to have a better overall experience because it was all about that team at that time. There was no division. It was about the Marlboro County Middle School football team. They got to connect with the high school coaches and future teammates. I seen, as the head football coach here, I seen the middle school football players every day of the week. Our varsity players got to also connect with, and JV players got to connect with those kids as well, telling them good luck before games, so on and so forth. And then a better coach to player ratio. There was much more individualized instruction. Our kids had a much better experience with instruction. Instead of us having 1 or 2 or 3 coaches per team, we were able to field a team with 7 coaches, and for every player to have at least 1 to 8 ratio. All right, so here's our sports numbers for this year. Blenheim fielded 8 boys for basketball and 7 girls. Wallace fielded 7 boys and 11 girls. McCall fielded 11 boys and 7 girls. So you got your previous participation on there as well. So total participants for boys basketball this year was 27. Last year it was 26. This year was 25 and last year was 23. Here's our transitions to our programs right now. So if we went and consolidated, it would be similar transition, but they wouldn't be coming from 3 different middle schools. They would be just coming from one team, right? So the transition for men's basketball is middle school basketball transition into a B or a C team, transition into JV, and then to varsity. And we can establish a B team for any sport we need to. Again, if we have overflow of kids, we can establish a B team for any sport that we need to. Girls basketball went from middle school to JV to varsity. Wrestling, we do not have a middle school program, and that is something that in the near future I would love to do as the athletic director in this district. I have seen that sport grow. All of our sports have grown, but I have seen that sport grow tremendously. Cheer, middle school, JV, and then the varsity, and then strength training is obviously one team.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes,
are you done?
not done.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so here is our current number of winter coaching spots. And notice I said spots. In the middle school level, we have had an extremely hard time finding qualified and saying that qualified people to help coach our middle school sports. In fact, there has been times where we have had a coach, and I'll use McCall as an example. Our middle school athletic director had to assist with boys basketball, coach girls basketball, and help with cheerleading. So we have 30 spots available for middle school. I mean, for all of us in the wintertime in general. But those are just spots available. It doesn't mean we filled those spots. Next slide, please. Now we have 25 spots. All right. So that would be the ideal would be 25 spots. When you look at the winter stipends, that is about the amount of people that we filled anyways. Can you go to the next slide, please? So winter facility usage, we went over this last year. The men's varsity, boys and girls, will be in Marlboro County High School gym, JVs as well. We are a school district that does not have an auxiliary gym on campus. And so when boys and girls basketball are practicing at the same time, it is a tight fit. Marlboro County middle school basketball team would practice at Bennettsville Intermediate. If we had one unified basketball team, that would allow us to utilize the other gyms that are already at the schools for better spacing, because the wintertime is extremely, the gym is extremely full. The girls basketball and JV both are at the high school. Our middle school would be at the intermediate, and then JV and varsity wrestling, as of right now, are in the wrestling room and weight room. Us having those other gyms available, we could move if we wanted to. We could move people to different spots for whatever reason. So here's our middle school spring sport numbers. And these are tryout numbers. These are not numbers that they finish with. Our issue in middle school is not the number of kids that try out. Our issue is what we finished the season with. So right now, we have 12 kids who tried out at Blenheim for baseball. We have 12 who tried out at McCall for baseball, and we have 13 who tried out for baseball, which ups our participation by 6 spots, roster spots. Okay, which is a really good thing. That's always my goal, is to have as many kids participating in athletics as possible. But again, that 31 that's up there from last year, that is what we finished with, not what we started with. Softball is the same thing. We have more numbers this year. 12 at Blenheim, 12 at McCall, 14 at Wallace. And last year at Blenheim, we had to open up tryouts again for us to even field a team. So that is a good thing. So last year we had 30 total, and now we have 38, which is a really, really good thing for our spring sport numbers. Now, it is my hope that they stick it through the season. Transitions, your spring transitions are up there. Here's your spring transitions. Middle school to JV to varsity is most of them. Track is middle school and varsity. Soccer would be JV, which would be 7 through 9, and then varsity, and then golf would be 1 team. Number of spring coaches, again, these are spots. All right, we just hired a baseball coach at Wallace last Thursday. We are having an extremely hard time finding qualified people to come coach our middle school sports. But our current total of spots is 29. Ideally, we would want 24 coaches, which would save us money in the budget. We have possible junior dog spots. So anytime that, and a junior dog is a C team, anytime that we see an overflow, we could create a C team. There's a spring facility usage. Track will be on the track. Baseball, cages, field, weight room, same thing for softball. Soccer will be on the turf. Girls soccer will be on the turf, and golf will be at the country club. Good. Middle school pickup, we discussed this last year. We'll have 3 buses picking children up. I'm thankful for the middle school pickup this year because that allowed us to up our middle school participation in all of our sports here at the high school. Next slide, please. Game day sites, middle school basketball will be at Bennettsville Intermediate. We would rotate the middle school sites for baseball and softball. Facility improvements. So what we went over last year, we would need the football practice field, which still has not been restored, to be restored. Utility field, which is behind the baseball field, we need that to be converted, which would easily be converted into a baseball field. The gym, locker room, we would need that renovated as well. The expenses, so if we were to make one middle school team, if we were to make one middle school team for boys and girls basketball, it would cost us about $1,900. Softball would cost us a little over $900. Under $900. Baseball would cost us right around $750, and track would be $360, which would be a total expense of a little under $4,000.
What are you spending now?
That would be just for us to buy the uniforms and for us to, because we would already be in middle school. We would already be in a conference. That would be for us to consolidate all of the schools.
And if you ran a concession with that would basically concession stand. It could possibly pay for that out of concession stand, couldn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. And I'd like to add on top of that, I think that and I would have to go look at this, but I would go to venture this year. Well, we did. Now, this is a fact. We made more money during football season this year than we have in the past 7 years. I would go to venture if I took all of the money, and I can do this if we need to. I would go to venture if I took all of the money that we made last year at all 3 middle schools, and I added it up to the amount of money that we made for one middle school football team here. We made more money here in 4 home games. It was a big crowds out there. Sometimes there were more people for the middle school games. If anybody came to them, they seen them. Sometimes there were more people for the middle school football games than there were the JV football games. So more opportunity for our student athletes. This is why we consolidated with football for phase 1. We want to expand opportunities for middle schoolers. Currently, middle school sports include football, baseball, basketball, and softball. Also cheer. This plan will introduce additional sports: cross country, volleyball, weightlifting, soccer, golf, and track and field. These new opportunities will allow our students to showcase their talents and will strengthen our varsity teams at Marlboro County High School in the future. Next slide, please. All right, so here we go. We got our district athletic participation, okay? In 2024 to 2025, we had 153 middle school participation numbers. These are roster spots filled. This is not 153 kids playing. This is how many fielded a roster. So let me explain myself. You can play 2 sports and fill 2 roster spots. These are just roster spots. This year we had 174 kids from middle schools play, but also take into consideration that with 23 kids are playing with JV and or varsity sports. So we had an increase of 14% when it comes to middle school participation. High school participation, the previous year we had 336 roster spots filled. This past year we had 426. That is including the spots that are filled in the spring this year. Now, and that is an increase of 21. Now that number is kind of skewed because we added girls flag football and other sports to our to it. And I am asking at this time, I respectfully request that the board table this agenda until the next scheduled board meeting. This would allow the athletic team, the superintendent, to meet with all athletic directors and school leaders and with informed recommendations and unified feedback for board consideration. And we're asking this because we have had a number of kids want to play in athletics. We're asking this because we need more time to get with our school leaders to talk to them about what they feel is right with the phase 2 of the One Dog Initiative.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, I appreciate the presentation, very good presentation, and thank you for what you've done with the program turning around. And you were talking about the consolidation, but I do have 2 concerns, and I think they both can be addressed. First thing, when we consolidating, the schools, and there might be some children left out. And I know we have been talking and partnering with the recreation department. So some of the kids that, like in the Wallace or Clio and Blenheim and Bennettsville area, they won't be able to play it once you consolidate it because they may not make the team. But if we could partner with the recreation department and have a 7th and 8th grader that could play for rec basketball and use those gyms that not being utilized with middle school, and those children would still be active and have some way to play. So I'm asking you if you can work with the county recreation department and form a recreation team just like they have for 5th and 6th graders with a 7th and 8th graders, so that way we won't be leaving no child behind in athletics. Yes, sir.
Yes, we've had.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I've had conversations And we definitely need to do that. But can we pull that slide back up, please, where it is talking about the participation numbers, not that one, but the winter participation numbers. I think when we talk about uh, uh, consolidating, everybody thinks about participation as you passed it. Right there. Okay, so I think when we talk about consolidation, everybody thinks that, oh, this is going to limit opportunities for kids. Well, when we add a C team, okay, C team, and we have 15 kids playing on the C team, and we have 15 kids playing, or 15 opportunities or roster spots playing on the middle school team, we only have 27 kids that participated in boys basketball this year, and we only had 25 in girls. So that's not limiting the opportunity that our kids would have to play. What it actually is doing is the advanced kids, it is making the advanced kids play up. It's making the advanced kids play up on the C team with same opportunity. But yes, sir. There has been talks with the rec department about a 14U team, sir.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying that, like I'm gonna use for instance, and don't nobody from Wallace get mad at me. We had 9 girls. We usually have 4, 5, 6, or 7. We had 9 or 10 this year. Neither one of them probably could make the middle school team at the high school, but they still came out and played the entire season this year, and we gave them something to do. So it's not about the numbers; it's about activity that they can still do, that they'll have opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm speaking on.
And I think that the more comfortable our kids get with playing with each other, number one, and number two, coming to the high school, the more opportunity that they will see. Kids in the 7th and 8th grade, and they could most definitely help some of our junior varsity sports. But sometimes if we stay at our middle school, we wouldn't know that we could help those teams. They would not know that. So I definitely think the 23 kids that played up this year was in main reason because those kids, there's some of the same kids that reoccur. Those kids got comfortable playing up on JV or C teams.
Okay. And the other thing I had, I'm one dog too, so I noticed, when it comes to the football games and the concession stands, especially on the visitor side, the whole season went not using the concession stand, thousands of dollars that could help being missing it. I'm not saying that that's your fault or anybody else's fault, but we need to open that concession stand on the visitor side because they come in, that could cause ruckus too, because they coming off from the visitor side on Marlboro side, and you got Scotland, Dillon, and Marlboro, you got clashes that can avoid that, and it also makes money and bring in funds. So we need to have that concession stand on the visitor side open to bring in more funds and keep the visitors on the visitor side and the home people on the home side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's all I got, but I think your plan is a good plan, and I think it will help our children. Anybody else got anything?
I do want to also point out that we do have church leagues here in Marlboro County, and I think First Methodist, not just middle school, but all together from like the intermediate to the beginners, they had 164 participants this year in basketball. So they do have other opportunities in the community besides rec and public school ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, they do offer church leagues here in Bennisfield, but they don't offer it in Wallace.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think they come from all over the whole county.
they do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. I do have a few questions. So I know some of the kids, they didn't finish at the end of the year. Is there a reason why or several reasons?
No, I don't think that there is necessarily a reason why. When it comes to certain situations, obviously, there has to be a reason, but I don't think that there's necessarily you see the trend happen when teams are losing. One of the things that I've noticed my 2 years here as the athletic director is there are certain middle schools that are good in certain sports, which is great. And so, a kid that comes from a middle school here, and I'll just use Blenheim for an example. Blenheim is really, really good in basketball and football. Okay. All right. There's a kid at Blenheim though that could be an amazing baseball player, right? I don't know who he is. I don't know who she is. She'd be a great softball player. I don't know who she is. But if her experience is not good in middle school, or his experience is not good in middle school, and they quit, they may never play again, right? And if we're talking about the best experience for the kids, we want to be competitive. We want to show competitive excellence in everything that we do, right? And so when kids need to, it's hard to compete. Even though we say that there's no scoreboard up there, it's hard to compete when you're losing 10-0 in the first inning. And so if you're having bad experiences, especially in the same county with kids that are fellow classmates, that would, I would go to venture that would cause you to quit, because we started the year at the high school at the middle school level. We started the year that the kids that we started with, we had one kid not finish football season. That was not the case when I was talking to you all last year, when I was telling you it was unsafe for us to have 13 or 12 kids suiting up for a football game. So I think that our kids in middle school need to get that one dog initiative where we're playing with each other. And I was there the whole step of the way. I was there with the middle schools the whole time. At first, the first meeting we had, I met with them. It was different, right? After the first week, you would have never known they went to different schools. And I think that needs to happen with all of our middle school sports. The more comfortable they get with coming up here, the more they'll branch out and play different sports. We have so many sports here that could utilize our middle school kids. Volleyball being an example of one of them. If we got people comfortable with the idea of everybody playing together before the 9th grade, I think it just opens up way more opportunities for children.
Yeah, I was wondering also, because, I know we have bench warmers, and do we have like a rotational roster? Is that one thing you all have considered as far as skill development for some of those kids who may be first year players, but are really interested in it, but not as skilled as some of our other students?
So one thing that we talk to the middle school coaches about is you are a feeder program, right? So kids do need to play, but at the same time, we need to make sure that that's what practice is for. Practice is for development. And when we're keeping track of a score, when we get up by 15 or 20 points on the basketball court to get a rotation in, sure. But we want to teach them in 7th grade to compete to win. We also want to teach them competitive excellence, that the scoreboard doesn't matter. And right now, I feel like in middle school sports, the scoreboard matters more than the competitive excellence. I feel like, and me being somebody that lives in Marlboro County, I live in Marlboro County. As long as I work here, I hope that I do live in Marlboro County, okay? But being somebody, I do live in Cloud, all right? But being somebody that is here, but not from here, when I watch athletics, I see this next year us really turning at the high school of our kids really understanding what competitive excellence is. When I first got here, I did not see that. Not from everybody unified. With our middle school teams, I am starting to see that feed into the middle school teams. But I'll give you one example. If you were at the middle school basketball championship game, the minute that one of the teams got up by 20, they really stopped playing hard. And so those reps aren't really meaningful reps anyways. And so I would rather us get together, play and compete against somebody else like we would in high school, make the overall experience better, and get that in their mind that we're from the same county and we're playing all together. And it would just give more opportunity for kids.
Another question. So you're saying that it's hard as far as coaches at the middle school level for us to recruit them. What are the requirements? Do they have to work for the district? What is the...
No. They do not have to work for the district. But one thing that I am big on is coaches who have been trained more than just coaches that have been trained to deal with crisis situations, coaches that have been trained to deal with social economic problems with children, coaches that have been able to to be trained on competitive excellence, because there's a lot of coaches that aren't trained. And there's a lot of coaches that aren't trained, that the scoreboard is the only thing that matters. And that's not what that is definitely not what we're pushing here at Marlboro County. And if anybody is watching a board meeting that wants to be a coach, please come up to the high school and come see me. But I would go to venture that we have repeat coaches at the middle school level, and we need experts at every level, or to try to find them. I've even talked to the high school staff about branching out and helping coach middle school sports. Hey, you're a football coach in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
In the spring, let's go coach a middle school sport. Because if we're all in this together, coaching is coaching. To me, if I'm coaching my son's rec league team, it's a different age group. I want to coach them and teach them competitive excellence at a simpler level, right? Just like I would teach a high school coach. So no, you do not have to be a member of the district. I would prefer for that, because that means that you have been trained on how to deal with kids in general and our kids in particular.
Okay. And one last question. I'm trying to remember, in phase 1, was bowling one of the options?
Bowling was something that we were going to try to pair with Laurinburg, the bowling alley. It is something that I'm still trying to do as a club sport. Bowling is not a sanctioned sport. So it's something that I would still try to do as an extracurricular activity, like we did the girls flag football. Hopefully girls flag football will be sanctioned in 2 years in South Carolina, but until it is, we're going to use it as a club sport. So it's something that we need to try to push to do as a club sport. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair. I believe we should oblige the athletic director. So I move that we table the athletic plan phase 2 until the appropriate time that he superintendent come back with it on the agenda.
Sure. I think the goal would be to get the secondary principals and athletic directors together to discuss this further and be unified in a recommendation to you, either March 16th or one of the April meetings.
Do Coach Johnson?
Got a motion on the floor.
Good. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any other discussion? Is there any? All in favor of the motion, let me know by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. Thank you, Coach Johnson. Appreciate you.
God bless y'all. And the last thing I want to say is I am extremely proud of the number of kids that are participating in athletics in Marlboro County. We are growing that number. We're going to continue to grow that number. Go Dogs.
Thank you,
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Next on the agenda, consolidation plan. Dr. Thornton.
Yes, sir. My recommendation hasn't changed. I do think that the amount of money that we can save in this plan is necessary for our budget planning next year. And I hope I've answered your questions. I tried to provide you with some information. I do want to just publicly thank Ms. Cribb. Megan Quinn was very helpful. There were several people that helped gather that information that was requested. So I want to acknowledge them, but I hope that was the information you needed so that you can make an informed decision.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Chair, before we start discussion, I might as well go and put a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the consolidation plan.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
I want to say that I was actually surprised and not surprised at our participation in our survey. There was only 26% of people who responded that were even affected by this consolidation plan. And even though 300 and some odd number seems like a lot, when you think about how many children attend this school system, that's really not a lot of people who even considered doing the survey. So I would just ask the public to be more mindful of that whenever we're making decisions to participate in our surveys.
Anybody else?
Well, Mr. Coach, the reason I made that motion too was, I voted in favor of this last year. And things really, other than people being moved around, the situation still hadn't changed. And I think Dr. McLeod alluded to it earlier when he stated that when this plan was brought before, And we had even members on the board that rallied the public against it and called for the state to come in and take us over because they said we were making a bad choice. But when you look at it, you really didn't have any other option but the same options we have on the table now. Timing might have been a little different, and I do understand that. Timing may have been a little different, but as we stated earlier, the only way we're gonna come to the numbers that we need is for the board to act. And we can no longer kick the can down the road. We need to move and get things in order so we can prepare for the 26-27 school year budget.
I just like to say, you put 4 plans on the table last year. I voted for all 4 of them because I knew we need to consolidate at that time. Neither one of them passed. We weren't acting like a board that wanted to move forward, do the right thing at the time. Matter of fact, we went to the point where making accusations, money had been taken away out of the budget. We lost the superintendent behind it. All that proved to be not true. And we could have passed the budget. Even some board members said, let the state come in. I couldn't believe that, We're gonna let the state take our school over. Luckily, they didn't take it all over. We have a second chance to do the right thing. But in doing the right thing, I would like to address the things that, because we have some parents that are losing the school here in the major city. I want those children from Bennettsville to have the same opportunity that other children have when it comes to going to a choice school. And I would like for Mr. McNeil and Dr. Thorson is get as many of those kids as you can out of Bennettsville into the Wallace, closest to the Wallace area. I think the parents deserve that option. Maybe y'all didn't hear from them, but I hear from them. I mean, we took Claudia off the table. They're not losing anything. The only people losing anything are these kids from here in Bennettsville, and those parents have been calling me. And as board chair, I owe them that right to fight for them, just like I'll fight for the children from Wallace. And that's what I'm asking you to do if this passes, to make that move, to make sure these children are taken care of, just like any other children. Don't just pack one group of children and leave that door open where other children can go there, and these children will be packed in Blenheim, and it could have been them that they were closer, and somebody farther away could take a spot of that they could have had. They deserve that same opportunity and treatment.
Yeah, and even last year when we were talking about consolidation, I always voted for mention an additional administrator to have one separate from the school discovery side, the 6th to 8th, but if it's going to be 3rd to 5th or 4th to 5th, that they have their own administrator. So that's what I would like to see. I know we're cutting funds and we're trying to balance a budget, but I do think that is imperative for the school to even offer support to the current administrators we have there. They can focus on one school and one can focus on the other side.
Another thing with that, this only gonna save us $500,000. That's not gonna be enough for us to save a lot of the jobs. So we're gonna have to do a millage increase too, or we're gonna have to cut jobs. But I think if we did the millage increase along with the consolidation last year, tried to do a millage increase, we voted that down. We voted down consolidation to the last minute. So this year's got to be different. If we want our children to be successful, have the funds so that we can get teachers and move forward, we're gonna have to do both. And we could save some jobs if we would do both. We wouldn't have to cut out people's jobs. We're taking people's jobs away from them when we not necessarily have to. Haven't had the millage increase since when? 2012, 2013, 14, whatever. So
I think, go ahead. Are you done?
Go ahead, Ms. Root.
I think Dr. Thorsland said that number was more like $630,000 savings. Is that correct with this consolidation?
So I've been using $500,000 as a minimum. When I actually put some positions on paper, I think it'd probably be more in the $650,000 range, just in those positions that are duplicated when you have a school, but you don't necessarily have to duplicate when you consolidate. So you know, you need, instead of two principals, one principal, instead of two librarians, one librarian, you know, and so on. There are certain positions where if you have a school, you have to have one of that person. But if you consolidate two small schools, you can still get by with one of that person.
And how many principals and assistant principals are at Wallace and McCall?
So I've heard the talk about the public comment, and then Ms. Galloway saying that we need an administrator that would be designated at Blenheim for the elementary school. And I don't disagree with you that we should have an administrator that would primarily work with the 4th and 5th grade teachers and students. We do need to look at the administrative allocation for all of our schools right now, because it's not really based on a numerical allocation at this point. So at McCall, we have one principal, one assistant principal, and it's over 600 students. At Wallace, fewer than 500 students, we have a principal and two assistant principals. At Blenheim, with 350 students, we have a principal and two assistant principals. So I do think we need to look at some standards and try to standardize what we're allocating across the district. So I'm certainly not saying no, you guys are going to ultimately make the call on that, but I would like to bring you some, just some staffing standard options where we could apply them equitably across the district.
Mr. Chair, I call for the question.
Well, I have one more question. I'm sorry. I like to visualize things. So I had sent an email a little late in the day. It was 2:00, and I asked, I'm sorry, I sent that so late, but I went and toured Blenheim, and there was only 6 empty rooms. How many rooms would BIS take up?
Yeah, so I counted, I talked to Dr. McCall after I got your request. I did, Mr. Davis was able to get me essentially a fire evacuation map.
Mhm.
There are over 32 spaces, like classroom spaces in that school. So if you just take that and multiply it by 25, I mean, that's well over the 550 kids that we would anticipate being in that building next year. So I don't think space is going to be a concern. And just in previous conversations I had with Dr. McCall, he thinks that he could, just like we do at Wallace and McCall, we could isolate the 4th and 5th grade to one section of the school where they wouldn't mix with the 6th through 8th graders. So we think we can easily house the students in that building and somewhat separate them, just like we do at our.
That's what I was
other
going to kind of ask.
We can.
So there's, whenever you walk into the lobby, that hallway to the right, is that where you're considering putting forth?
I believe, is that correct, Dr. McCall? Sure.
Good evening.
Good
In
evening.
terms of if we were to do consolidation, right now, if you come into my building, make a right, that would be where 4th and 5th grade would be housed. It's essentially where our K through 5 used to be. So all those students would go there. All of our exploratories would transition down the hall now. And so all of our exploratories would be closer to our cafeteria. So our 4th and 5th grade would transition there. Our middle school kids would essentially come down the stairs that are by our cafeteria and would go there for exploratory. So their paths would never cross, because all the exploratories again would be closer to our cafeteria, and those students from upstairs would go down that upstairs stairwell. Our elementary kids would come that way. They wouldn't come in contact with each other.
So it'd be kind of like a D hall at the high school where they're just off to themselves.
Yeah, essentially.
ma'am.
And the same thing we see at McCall and
Right,
Wallace.
what
If you go into
utilize
Wallace.
in terms of pickup, a lot of our kids, again, are Bennettsville kids, so they're brothers and sisters, cousins. But if parents would want to, for instance, 4th and 5th grade drop off, they could drop off right where they're by that door. Middle school kids, if they wanted to drop off, they could drop off in the front. So again, those paths would never cross.
Yeah, because there is 2 drop-off lines.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I had previously called for the question, but I allowed other
Yes,
questions
sir.
to be asked. I call for the question.
Call for the question. All in favor of voting for the consolidation, BIS and Blenheim, let it be known. Raising your right hand. Okay. It's unanimous. Consolidation. I do thank the board for doing the right thing. I just pray and hope it works out for our children
It will.
Okay.
Can I make a comment? I think that the decisions that we make today really impact our future. And the decisions that were made yesterday, years ago, with where Blenheim is located and where Wallace is located, had they been situated closer to Bennettsville, either one of them, we probably wouldn't have had this long of an extensive conversation about consolidation. So I think that as board members, we really need to be mindful about every decision we're making.
Approval. Approval of. Approval
Get
of
it. Approval of the school district renewal plan?
strategic plan first.
Yeah, I'm sorry, teacher plan first. Approval of the district strategic plan.
Go ahead, Ms. Promise.
Good afternoon, Chairman Coachman, members of the board, and Dr. Thorsland. I have provided both a full text and a summary of key changes to highlight our strategic shifts and specific goals. At this time, if you have any questions, I will entertain those. If not, I respectfully request your approval for the plans to be submitted to the South Carolina State Department of Education.
Okay. All right. Got to find myself. I went to look at it.
We at the bottom.
And I'll just, as far as these plans, I asked Ms. Quick Promise to give you a summary of each and then a full report from each so that you've hopefully had time to review those rather than go through those individually tonight. I thought it would be better for you to be able to review them ahead of time. So any questions that you might have, she's here to answer.
I took some notes. I think across the board, we had situations where we had planned to meet a certain percentage and then we hadn't met it. And then other times we had planned to meet a certain percentage and we exceeded it. So for an example, one of the questions I had was, why don't we have a 6th grade science score for Blenheim? It says NA, that's on page 15 for Blenheim. And then there was the number of referrals was increased. We projected 800 and it went up to 1149. That was page 21. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm bringing up Miss Davita McCall. She's our testing. No, she asked, why is there not a score for 6th grade science? And this is 18 shot. This is for strategic planning. The 6th grade takes science.
Yes. I'll have to look back at it. I don't. Is this the school?
So if you look at Blenheim on page, let me see what page it was. Page 15.
Give me 1 second. I'm pulling them up on my phone so we can.
It says 6th grade science. The average baseline in 22 is 18.7, and then 23, 24, the goal is 25%, and it says actual NA.
Chris, is there any way you could pull that up here?
The renewal plan one, school renewal plan. And then go to Blenheim.
And the full text of Blenheim.
Yeah, that one.
Updated.
And then page 15. Right there at the top.
Okay, and could you state your question again?
I was just wondering why we didn't have a score. It says NA. And, I was just going through and comparing what our projections were and what we actually did.
Sure that Blenheim did have, all 6th grade students did test science in 23, 24. So that must just be an oversight and needs to be corrected.
Okay. Let's see. If you look at page 8 for Marlboro County High School, I thought this was interesting, especially with us doing the consolidation. It says that the highest discipline infractions are in 9th grade with skipping class. They're all consolidated to one hallway. How did that happen? How are they skipping if they're all in one hall? So that would be Marlboro County High School, page 8.
Yes.
So that's the question I'm asking then is, are they skipping when they're going to electives? What's going on there?
You good, Ms. Pruitt?
No, sorry. And then, our school graduation rate decreased. That's located on page 21 for Marlboro County High School. And then just across the board, I saw things like Wallace had gone down in math and reading for kindergarten, and sixth grade math and English did great, which props for that. They increased above what they were supposed to. And that's just in general. And I'm gonna just leave it. I'll just use Wallace as an example because I noticed that amongst all of our schools.
McCall went down too.
But I think that's the, program.
And I do want to ask why McCall still doesn't have an English teacher in 7th grade.
Yeah, but Wallace went down, McCall went down. A lot of them went down.
Yeah.
So they went down.
They did, and I said it across the board, but are we looking at a perspective for McCall for 7th grade?
We are advertising for any vacancy we have right now. It is a difficult time of year to locate teachers. As you know, Mr. Mosby's been out, so I don't have all the specific information about each and every vacancy. I do know we've had several advertised for some time, and we're making the best of tough situations. I don't know if is Mr. Bracy still in here? He might could answer any. He stepped out. So I don't know if he steps back in, we can ask. But I do know when we've had vacancies, we have advertised them. And if we don't have a certified applicant, we have to do the best we can by getting subs. Mr. Bracy, are you aware if we've been advertising your, would you say 7th grade English, Ms. Pruitt?
Yes, 7th grade English, and we also have a 4th grade teacher that needs to be hired there.
I do know that.
Yeah.
We currently have 2 7th grade teachers. Both of them are teaching 2 subjects. Ms. Rodriguez is recently certified ELA, so she's teaching.
So she is certified. Okay.
Okay, so we're covered in 7th.
Okay.
So it's the 4th grade that we're.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Primus.
Yes.
These are some of the, back in April or so, when we did see some of this information before, didn't we?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, same
For the
information.
renewal,
We
right?
have seen this information before. Every year, the State Department asks us to go in and update our testing data.
Right.
So what you have in front of you is where we have went in and updated that testing data. And we will for sure take a look back at 6th grade science at Blenheim Middle School of Discovery, because that was just an oversight on our part.
Okay.
And that's the point I just want to make, that we've had this information for a little while, and these just some of the updates on it. And I do understand some of our colleagues' concerns that they may have with whether or not we have a teacher here, a teacher there. I do understand that. But we do realize the reason we have a renewal plan and we come up with a strategic plan is to improve our testing. That's the whole idea of this renewal, is to make sure we set out a plan that we send to the State Department to let them know that we are working on our underperforming schools. Is that correct?
Correct.
And with that being said, Mr. Chair, I do move that we approve this strategic plan and renewal plans with the correction that Ms. Primus could put in there.
Now, motion to approve the renewal plan with the corrections. Do I have a second?
And strategic plan.
And strategic plan. Have a second?
I second.
Any other discussion?
I do realize that we've seen this information before, and I appreciate you presenting it to us. I just had some more time to sit down and kind of thoroughly go through it, and I had questions, so.
All in favor, let me know. Now raise your right hand. Thank you, Mr. President. It's been
Thank
approved. Okay. Approval of the school renewal plan?
Oh, we already
You
did
did
that.
that.
Board member comments.
Board member comments at this time. Right.
Galloway?
Ms. Mr. McCray? We'll go around to everybody. Board, got any comment?
No, sir.
Ms. Pruitt,
No additional comments.
Flower?
Well, the only comment I would make is I had the opportunity to go to the Black History Month program at McCall. Mr. Bracy and his staff done an excellent job. Also went to Marlboro County High School, and Mr. Graham and them done a fabulous job.
Ms.
Yeah, I
Galloway?
will reiterate, I hate that I miss, and I know two other schools are coming up and I may miss them and I hate that, but I was able to catch Clio and also Marlboro County High School, and everyone who was involved, which I posted on social media, did an amazing job. And I talked to Dr. Thorson. I said, I want a school of discovery again. And I threw out a proposal about school of discovery, but we're looking at it for next year, next school year, for when we get a little bit more money. But our kids have so much talent, and for us not to have a lot of those core teachers to teach this, the kids are just talented themselves, and so there's a resilience there of doing what they need to do and making it happen with what they know and what they learned in the past. And so I know a school of discovery would be amazing to even enhance those talents. But super proud of our children, and just if you missed it, you missed it. You missed some great performances. And so all who were involved did an amazing job.
Dr. McLeod?
What I want to do is go back to what I was dealing with a few minutes ago. If you all heard what Miss Yvette Douglas said, she stole all of my thunder. She said exactly what I was going to say. And you need to listen to her. You know, you talk about moving forward, but you can't move forward until you deal with the wrong you did in the past. And like I said, State Department, they're in here. And I don't think that we're going to move forward until they're gone. So, like I wanted to tell my bus drivers and the rest of you that if you want to, there's nothing you can do right now. But come November 3rd, you can elect you a new state superintendent. Like they say, get out and vote and get us somebody else who cares about Marlboro County. Because this one doesn't. And like I said, you know, you talk about us, you know, getting another superintendent or whatever when Dr. Thorson leaves. Who's gonna want to come here with us still under the gun of the state? I wouldn't. But anyway, you know, we've got good people within, and we're always going somewhere else looking to bring somebody else in. In other words, it's time to start looking within for our leadership, because that's what people have come home for and been here working. And I think that we really, as a whole, underestimate the people that we already have. So, like I said, State Department's got the money and they're running the show right now, but it won't be this way always. And like I said, last board meeting, Ms. Yvette Douglas had some comments for you, and this one she had some for you. And I applaud her for calling it like it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McLeod. Ms. Jones?
Yes, I'll just report to the board that on this past weekend, Mr. Coachman, Ms. Flowers, Mr. Driggers, Ms. Galloway, myself, we did attend the School Board Association Annual Conference, where they had some very enlightened classes, and they also had some very dynamic speakers that came before us and laid out some things that we really need to take in consideration moving forward. I mean, just as a group, just as a leaders working together, and Dr. Cloud just mentioned election, but we got to make sure too that even after election, we might disagree on certain things, but after it's over with, we need to come together and move. If we just voted for something, and even if you didn't like it and you voted against it, once this board moves forward and votes on something and it's approved, as a board, we need to get behind it and make sure it happens. That's one thing that they talked about a little bit on the school board in our classes, to make sure that the board stay unified. You're gonna have disagreements. There's gonna be a lot of things that you don't like. There might be arguments, but once the vote is taken and it passes, part of our job as representatives on this board is to get behind it and move it forward, whether we like it or not. That's how it normally goes. But we had some dynamic speakers and classes was good. They talked about ways to use AI to make us better humans, not using AI to take the human place, but using AI to make whatever we do better in what we do. And I do have a couple cards that we can download some of the classes that we had. It's on the QR, what kind of card? QR code. Yeah, it's on QR code. And I'll be giving a copy to the other board members. That way, if they want to attend some of those classes, they'll have it at their fingertips. That's all I have, Mr. Coach.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to thank the board for what you did tonight. We come a long way from last year. So a lot of love lost in communities, a lot of separation, a lot of broken hearts. And it's hard for me because sitting in the seat as a board chair, you got to try to hold it all together and make sure you're trying to do the right thing. But for all the schools, and grapple with this consolidation thing, because what I'm biggest disappointed in, I didn't see many parents from Bennettsville come here and fight for the children at the school. I don't know if it's because they don't mind the children going to Blenheim, or they okay with the decision, or they felt like we just gonna do the consolidation and not even count them anyway. But I wish I would have saw more of the parents to put up more of a fight. So my duty and our duty is to make sure we as a board do our part and make sure that we fight for those children, to put them in the right place, not to just say, cram them in here, cram them in there, give them the opportunity, because we say it's choice school. There's not a school in this county that's a choice school. Choice school says you have to be a passing school, okay? So if you say you're taking your child to a passing school in McCall, Clio, or anywhere else, you're not taking your child to a passing school. So don't believe that hype. But I'm glad we got consolidation through. Again, I voted for every time last time, and I voted for it on tonight. We have to move forward and balance the budget, do it the best way we can with millage increases. I would hope that we won't have to cut many jobs, but it seems like we're going to have to cut the job. So we got to do what we got to do to make sure to keep the district moving. That's all I got to say on it. Okay. All right. This time, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I move we go into executive session.
Uh-huh.
Personnel matters.
There you go.
Designation hire.
All right.
Second.
And superintendent search. All right. You got a motion and a second? All in favor, let them know, raise your right hand. We're now going into executive session. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move we go back into open session.
Motion go back up to session. Did I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known, by raising your right hand. Marlboro County Board of Education meeting now back in session. Tom?
Mr. Chair,
Mhm.
I move that we accept 2 resignations and 2 certified resignation. And I move that we accept 1 certified hire that was presented to us by Dr. Thorson on tonight.
You
I
heard,
think that the JAG is not a certified position at this point. I- It's a classified hire.
135, 165.
No, they're both classified, both support positions. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, my fault, I'm looking at the bottom one. Yep.
At the motion and a second, I have a second.
Second.
Motion is correct. All in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Dr. McLeod?
Carried on that.
Mr. Colton,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we bring this meeting to a close.
Motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have any other discussion? All in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Meeting is now adjourned.
This is the first.